Hi, I'm Kristen McClure, and today I want to share with you a little bit of what I learned about the science of happiness. So today I watched a workshop with Laurie Santos, who teaches the Science of Happiness course at Yale, and it's the most popular course at Yale. And you can actually take it for free. I don't think she's teaching the course anymore at Yale. Now you can take the course for free at Coursera, and it's called The Science of Well-Being. And she has a podcast called The Happiness Lab. So I learned a couple of things from her today that I want to share with you. I've been interested in happiness for a long time, and this is what I do for a living, is help people to be happier and to learn skills to be happier in their individual life. And I've noticed some themes in my clients, some things that we all struggle with. And it's interesting because I think a lot of what she says is true. And I've noticed these things as well. So oftentimes we go about chasing happiness in the wrong ways. We want to get the external things, chase the goals that we think if we meet, we're going to be happy. Maybe we'll get thin enough, then we'll feel good about ourselves, we'll be happy, we'll find the right partner, then we'll be happy, we'll make enough money, and then we'll be happy. And if we get those things, it's true, we might be a little happier. But the research actually shows that we'll fall back to baseline soon after we get those things. For example, there's studies on people who've won the lottery, and they may be happy for a little while, but soon after they go back to their normal level of happiness. And other studies show that people who have tragedy happen have the same experience. So happiness doesn't seem to come from our circumstances so much as from our behaviors. That's generally the gist of what the research shows. Now, of course, with a situation like money, you need to have enough money to eat, to have your needs met, to provide for your family, to get what's necessary. And so it's not true that, happiness, you would not be happier if you had those things. And of course, if you're experiencing discrimination and oppression, if you were free from those terrible experiences, you would be happier. So that is not what's being said here. You have to have your basic needs of freedom and food and shelter met. But once we get our basic needs met, it isn't so much about what we get externally that makes us happy, but about what we can do to increase our happiness. I think that's true. What I find with my clients and with myself is we oftentimes focus on doing the wrong things to make us happy and the wrong goals. So there's a few key things that the research shows that we can do to improve our well-being and happiness. One of those things is social connection. Of course, it has to be good social connection. So you don't want to be interacting with people who hurt you or who are toxic to you. And this wasn't mentioned in this lengthy workshop, but I want to make a note of that. So you don't want to be around people who hurt you, but interacting with people, even strangers. So saying hi to your neighbor on the street or in the grocery store, or small interactions with people, social connection is shown to increase our level of well-being and happiness. We're social creatures and we're wired to connect with other people. Practicing gratitude, something as simple as identifying 3 things every day that you're grateful for, that you appreciate, increases your sense of well-being. makes it more likely that you're going to engage in caring behavior towards yourself and other people. Again, gratitude is something that should be experienced to improve your well-being. So if you're using gratitude as a way to harm yourself and saying something to yourself like, I should be grateful, what's wrong with me? Then that's not what we mean here when we say practicing gratitude. So I do have clients who tend to do that, and that's not what's meant by practicing gratitude. It should be an enjoyable experience that's bringing benefit. Practicing self-compassion, you can go to Kristen Neff's website and Google self-compassion, and she has many good exercises for practicing self-compassion. Is not an indulgent practice. It's a practice that's been shown to make us perform more effectively at our job, to be a better partner and a better parent and a better friend. So there's tremendous benefits to practicing self-compassion. Practicing loving kindness, which is, it's a meditation exercise. You can find those exercises online. And that's been shown to help you be a nicer person, a happier person. And also, if you're experiencing any kind of compassion fatigue or burnout because you're in the helping profession, Metta meditation has been shown to decrease those negative effects that you feel. So that's an excellent practice to incorporate. Having the right job can be really important. So if you have a job that helps you to feel connected with what matters to you, to feel like you're contributing, to be creative, if you pick the right career, then you will experience much greater happiness and life satisfaction. However, there's some research on something called job crafting, which is really fascinating, which I think I might learn some more about and maybe do a video on. And what job crafting is about is essentially being true to yourself and your values, even if you're in a job that isn't specifically created with that in mind. So there's research done on people who might normally be thought of as having, monotonous jobs that would be boring. And they themselves bring parts of themselves into the job that make it so fulfilling for them that they have joy and happiness in their job. Other practices that can increase your happiness: mindfulness, paying attention and lingering and savoring good experiences. It's a mindfulness practice called savoring, which would consist of retraining your brain to spend more time on very enjoyable aspects of your day, such as enjoying a really good cup of hot cocoa, or, staying in the moment when you notice how cute your dog is or how beautiful your child is, and really dwelling in the pleasantness of the moment, because our brain is wired to spend more time on the negative and the scary and the frightening. And so savoring retrains our brain to absorb the happy, joyous, and positive. And the more you practice that, the more likely you are to be able to do that. And so that increases our level of happiness and joy. That's called savoring, and it's a mindfulness practice. Another practice that she talks about is called being other-oriented, which it can be problematic if you have codependency issues, like a lot of my clients do, which means essentially you spend a lot of time on other people. But the tendency to focus on ourselves when we're struggling, we're anxious, and we're fearful or unhappy can be all-consuming and can really narrow our focus. So, she suggests expanding how we're thinking when we're struggling, and instead reaching out to do something for someone else, buy a gift for someone else, reaching out to your neighbor, just being kind and being other oriented. And that can just uplift you. It can, it can really raise your feeling of well-being in the moment, whereas focusing on you can do the opposite. It can contract you. The general care for yourself, such as cardio and enough sleep. In countries where there's high levels of well-being, every year they do like a well-being index, and our country clearly is not one of the countries with a lot of happiness, even though we have a lot of wealth. Again, showing that, we have a lot of wealth, but also a lot of poverty, but showing that wealth does not equal happiness. Those countries have lots of rest, lots of community and connection, and ritual that celebrates the things that we know lead to well-being, and the rituals are part of the culture. So we don't have those rituals generally celebrated here in our country. So making those rituals a part of your life, a part of your family, can help to increase well-being and happiness. And emotions are contagious, and these practices are contagious. So if you start to learn them, practice them, implement them in your own life, they will have a rippling effect to the people that you love, for your children, your spouse, your friends, the people you care about. So I'm Kristen McClure, and I'm sharing today a little bit of the happiness research that I learned about this morning. I hope that was helpful for you. Thanks for listening.